Well, good morning, folks. I'm Roger Wolf. I'm the Executive Director for Agriculture's Clean Water Alliance. It's my pleasure to be here. This is my first Tech Hub event. Really excited about being here. I took a look at the program and the trade show, and I'm like, wow, we need to be here. And what I want to do today is tell you a little bit about Agriculture's Clean Water Alliance, who we are, why we exist, and where we're going. I do hope you stop by the event or booth. Obviously, we're all at the event. But stop by the booth, talk to myself. Kristen Dearden's at the booth, and we'd be happy to introduce you to Agriculture's Clean Water Alliance. So we like to say this tagline, making conservation retail real. When we think about conservation, when we think about natural resources, when we think about the role of agriculture and the environment, we really need to have all acres, and we really need to think about how are we going to get all that work done. Well, I'm here to tell you that ag retail is right in the middle of making all that work, and so and we're highly invested in this, and we've been around. This is our 25th year. This is our birthday, the 25th year, and this is our mission and vision, and it's all about thinking about advancing solutions that reduce nutrient loss on the farm because of downstream water quality issues, improving soil health, and thinking about how can we improve Iowa's waters. And it's my opinion that ag retail plays a leading role just primarily because of that trusted resource and for farmers, and the fact that they touch all farmers. I like to say that when a farmer goes to plant his crop, the last person he probably talks to is his ag retailer, because they're selling the seed, fertilizer, and chemistry. And today they're also integral in bringing about conservation solutions, and I think this is the future. In 2021, this became a statewide organization. It didn't start out that way. Back in 1999, you see that big blue watershed in the middle of the state. That's the Raccoon River watershed. It serves as the source water for the city of Des Moines, kind of a famous watershed because it has chronic nitrate issues in the river. Des Moines Water Works, the state local utility here that serves water to, I don't know, what has it been, about 700,000 now? I used to say 500,000, but it's grown. So if you get water here, it's coming through Des Moines Water Works, and they have challenges to serve out that water so that it meets the Safe Drinking Water Act. So I need to roll here, but this is a map of the footprint of ACWA members. Actually, this is an old slide. We have a new member. Anybody from Vision Ag? That's our newest member over in Washington County. They just joined, and really pleased to have them. But what we found is these retailers were in the Raccoon. They said, hey, we have an issue, but we also have the horsepower to serve Iowa farmers. And so in 21, they expanded statewide. This is an overlay of all the retail locations. There's actually 398 locations with Vision Ag that's now joined. So this is a organization that touches a lot of farmers. So we've done targeted implementation projects. We drill down and we use data and information, water monitoring information, to figure out where we're going to work and how we're going to work. And so we've had targeted projects. We've worked with utilities. We've worked with the city of Des Moines. We work with the city of Cedar Rapids. So it's an upstream, downstream relationship, and we're all about partnerships. One of the things that this group has championed since its beginning is just holding everybody accountable, kind of a self-regulation process. And this is environmental code of practice for nitrogen fertilization. It's a condition of membership, and they track the soil temperatures, and they think about when can they go to the field and make sure that nitrogen's being applied under the right conditions. And so this is a way that the memberships kind of hold each other accountable. Now realize that these co-ops and retailers are all in competition, but they have agreed to work together to solve these big issues of water quality. I kind of talked about that. That's a little bit of the history. I need to talk about the role of water monitoring. Just like having soil samples and giving farmers good agronomics in the field, we take a look at what's happening in the water. And this is just a slide that shows the performance of looking at cover crop adoption. We collect water samples at edge of field, and so this really demonstrates that cover crops can improve nutrient loss leaving the farm field. And also, we know that soil health improves, and in many cases, farmers are proving out that there's other advantages of integrating cover crops into their system. So this is a big practice for improving nutrient loss. Probably the biggest value proposition that ACWA members have today is this: we've catalyzed the development of a new position called a conservation agronomist. For years we thought, well, we'll just add conservation to the sales agronomist. But then we realized those folks are busy selling seed, fertilizer, and chemistry. So how do we separate out a little bit of the conservation piece? And so we've stood up these conservation agronomist positions. There's currently a network of around 13 of these across the state. These folks are working alongside the sales agronomy folks, but also are the experts on conservation, integrating conservation systems. And so they're helping farmers enroll, and this is just illustrates some of the numbers. We've helped advance about 130,000 acres of cover crops. Obviously, helping farmers adopt conservation tillage, edge of field practices like bioreactors, saturated buffers, oxbows. Those are integrated into the landscape to treat the water that's leaving the farm field. And so it's resulted in some outcomes. And so we're tracking and aggregating all this information, and that's one of the more exciting things. A few years ago, we got a nice grant through the Iowa Department of Land Stewardship to expand the role of conservation agronomists, and really proud of this fact. It's actually EPA money for the hypoxia task force that's coming to Iowa, and then Iowa Department of Ag invests in this to help us stand up these conservation agronomist positions. As we do this, we're trying to prove out what's the value of conservation agronomy in the ag retail setting. And it's my hope that we have an army of these folks within ag retail that are assisting farmers in the future. Back in February, we actually, because we now have about 3 years of history under our belt, we had this conference here in Des Moines where we had ag retailers come in and talk about what does it mean to stand up and start a conservation agronomy program. And so this conference is really helping us understand that. We have a real nice publication, a white paper that was just published. If you stop by the booth, there's a QR code you can scan and get a copy of this, and it talks a lot about how ag retailers are doing this work. This is right from that conference, and this came from ag retailers, just a SWOT analysis. What are the advantages? You know, how can we leverage the strength and the horsepower that ag retail has? And it you know, that top one's really important. Farmer relationships. Ag retail has the farmer relationships, and frankly, has a stake in the success of how these farmers do their work. And you can't say that really about the traditional approach to conservation delivery. And that's really an important point. Also, the integration of practices are really important. These aren't just one-off things. Farmers need to know how to establish the practice, how to make the practice work in their cropping system, and then networks and partnerships. You know, how do we? It's really called boundary spanning. How do we sit in that space and connect the dots? And these conservation agronomists help do that. And I think about all this technology. How do we put GIS to work? How do we put monitors and sensors? And, you know, how do we pull all these pieces together? So this is in that white paper and talks about the opportunity. And this just is some new data that came from Iowa State, asking farmers their opinions about this. And what's exciting, they're just finding out about it, but look at the maybe column. A lot of farmers are really interested in the potential for this kind of position to help them adopt conservation. So I'm out of time. Please stop by the booth. It's been my pleasure to join you here this morning. Thanks for paying attention and listening. I was a little worried when I walked up here. There was no one here. Now you're all here. So glad you're here. Thanks.